Welcome back. Joining us live from Guam is the Iglesia Ni Cristo District Minister of Micronesia, or Church of Christ. Brother Noel Guzman joins us live from Guam. Welcome to the program, Brother Noel. This is Alma Angeles.
Thank you, and good evening to everyone.
Good evening, brother. The church always has a role to play when our communities are hurting, and pastors need to be compassionate and creative in identifying ways to serve our communities and meet their needs. Now, worldwide, a wedge has been placed between the practice of one's faith and the health of a community. Like, for example, just in South Korea, more prominently, a religious leader there is being investigated for prosecution. Now, in the midst of all this uncertainty, it's quite uncanny for churches to be the point of blame. Do you see where I'm going with this? I wish to ask, could you tell us how all this came about and how the Iglesia Ni Cristo is and has been responding to the coronavirus crisis in terms of compliance and adjustments to the practice of one's faith?
Well, we would like to also inform the community that one of the basic doctrines of the Church of Christ, Iglesia Ni Cristo, is to love our fellow men and also to obey or submit to the authority. So it doesn't make any sense if we keep on practicing our religion and at the same time we violate such a doctrine. Mm-hmm. That's why, in line with the decision of the church administration, we members of the Church of Christ, it has been a policy that we all follow to always cooperate with the government. Mm-hmm. That's why every time there's a directive being imposed by the government, what we do is to mobilize members or our officers, not only to disseminate the information by the government, but at the same time, we also encourage members to not only listen to those directives, not only to respect, but also to obey them all. And that way, we can help the government not only in disseminating the information, but also in encouraging the citizen, the people in the community, to respond positively to the directives of the government. We've been doing that actually, not only here in Micronesia, but all over the world, in line with the policy of the church that we should be cooperative always with the government. We're always one with the government.
Is there a similar incident in the scriptures where the church was faced with a similar challenge so that we can better understand present-day circumstances?
Well, of course, even though we stopped gathering, because that's the directive of the government, nevertheless, we didn't stop worshiping God. In fact, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, there was a prophet named Daniel who was captive in Babylon. And for that reason, he couldn't go to the place of worship, to the temple. So what he did was he prayed to God, where in his place 3 times a day. He prayed and he continued worshiping our Almighty God. Same thing during our time. Because of the present situation, we turn to this video conferencing worship services. Mm-hmm. So although we do not go to the chapel for the meantime, but in the respective houses of the brethren, they continue to worship God through video conferencing. The minister, the assigned minister, will be at his home residence in front of the camera while preaching the words of God, the lesson. Members attending the worship service are in their respective homes connected through online. And that way, we can continue to worship God, just like what Daniel did when he was held captive in Babylon. He never stopped worshiping God. Although he couldn't go to the place of worship or to the temple, but still he continued worshiping God. Same thing that we're doing now in the Church of Christ.
Do you have any good news for us? Earlier I talked to you. You said the Iglesia Ni Cristo there held a lingap sa mamamayan. How were you able to do this now that we are in a coronavirus pandemic? How were you able to? Yes.
Yes, that's right. Well, actually, this took place on the island of Saipan because some of our brethren on that island were being placed under quarantine. Now, the reason why, because there was an instruction from the church administration that they have to abide by the instruction of the government. So we encourage the brethren to go and have themselves be tested. And so that's what they did. The brethren went to the facilities. In fact, the CEO of the biggest hospital in Saipan, Esther Muna, in an interview by other television station, she even regarded or called members of the Church of Christ as heroes in some ways. She said that these people, these members of the Church of Christ, we didn't have to look for them. We didn't have to go from village to village to encourage people to have themselves be tested. When they felt or when they were being instructed by their church leaders, they presented themselves so they could help the community. They presented themselves to have them tested. And so she said they're actually heroes because they're very cooperative. They're helping the government to put an end to this problem. And she even said that she hopes many more people, not even members of the Church of Christ, should do the same. And with regards to the needs of the brethren also on that island, the church administration immediately sent help to the brethren. That's why yesterday, April 13, brethren on the island of Saipan, in the local congregations of Saipan and Cobblerville, they went to the place of worship. But of course, to make sure that we're not violating any restrictions, we coordinated first with the Department of Health so that the manner or the way on how these goods would be distributed to the brethren would be in accordance with the directives being implemented by the Department of Health. So we do not violate anything. As our televiewers could notice, we always see to it that we follow the government. We're one with the government. We don't go against it. So what we did was we distributed goods, water, rice, grocery items to the brethren. And tomorrow, April 15, same thing will take place on the island of Tinian. There will be also distribution of goodie bags to the members of the Church of Christ, especially those who couldn't go to work because of lockdown. They couldn't go to work, they couldn't earn a living. But still, the church administration, through the leadership of Brother Eduardo Manalo, continues to care for the brethren. That's why they send this help to the members of the Church of Christ.
On a positive note, do you have any message for us in these times of crisis? Would you like to leave a message for everyone?
Well, to everyone, not only to the members of the Church of Christ, but also even to non-members as well, we would like them to know that the members of the Church of Christ continue to pray to God. Just like anyone else in the community, we want to put an end to this problem. And while doing that, while praying to God, asking for His help, asking for His mercy, let us also continue to be cooperative with the government, because the government is just doing its part to put an end to this problem. So praying to God, placing our trust in Him, that's the best thing to do. At the same time, let us do or follow precautionary measures. Let us continue to be cooperative with the government in every directive that they implement or impose for the welfare of the community.
All right. On behalf of Eagle Broadcasting Corporation, we wish you good health to your congregation and locales as well. And happy 51st anniversary to the locale of Guam. And they celebrated last March also, the 4th anniversary of Micronesia, last March 6th, am I right?
That's correct, that's correct.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you for the greetings.
More power and God bless. Well, thank you so much for your time, brother.
Thank you very much.